We're looking at the Hagos 15, one of the firearms offered by Civilian Force Arms. And we're joined live by the CEO and chairman, Yonas Hagos. So talk to me about the Hagos 15, which I have given it an AKA of the Honus before we went to break. So go ahead.
That's an old video, by the way.
Oh, you thought you were gonna get the newest and greatest video?
No, you gotta show the new one. Looking tactical, but that's all good. So the Hagos 15, it bears my name. Every rifle I actually get to name has a unique name. That has meanings. People have asked me. That was one of the things that kind of made us stand apart. But obviously, I gave that rifle my name, and people said, "Why?" I'm like, "Well, it's more catered towards your three gunners." People that kind of want to do competition shooting, and just excuse my friend, it's a badass looking gun.
so that particular gun is geared towards competition shooting.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's a rifle that I would take into battle personally myself. So
awesome.
when I designed it, I said, you know what, this gotta have. And it could have been any other rifle. I would have put my name behind it, but it just stood out to me, and I said, this is a nice rifle.
Mm-hmm. So was that the one that you personally started building yourself?
Actually, every rifle I've designed myself personally. But that's one of them.
Say that part again. I didn't hear. I'm sorry.
I said every rifle I've designed myself, but that's one of them.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, the Hagos wasn't the first, but
which one was the first?
Probably the Katie.
Katie. What's the story behind the Katie?
She was an ex. Yeah, you asked.
That's epic. Care to share?
So that's outside of that, we got the Sally. We discontinued. Sally was the rifle I named in basic. Then we had the Natasha, the Natalia, rifles that I had.
So let's go back to Katie real quick.
The thing is, in the military, you get to name your rifles.
Okay.
So I said, everybody's naming their rifles the Reaper 2000 blah blah blah. It's just it's M4.209. You're like, yeah. I'm like, dude, I want to kind of do something that's different and where veterans would understand, people in armed services still serving, because a lot of my buddies said, you're doing what we normally do. So when you go to basic, this is your rifle, such so. But yeah. Katie's special.
So how does Katie feel about her being named after a rifle now?
I don't think she knows.
She's going to know now. So was Katie pro-gun?
Probably not. I think her parents were liberal, very, very anti-gun stuff.
That actually makes it kind of better in some way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. So let's talk to me about this 300 Blackout that you guys built. What are your thoughts on 300 Blackout? Because I know it's kind of, people across the board, it's either you love it or you hate it or you're indifferent. Where do you land in that regard in terms of 300 Blackout?
Well, a lot of people, hopefully I'm not preaching to the choir, but the bullet itself, the round, it burns a different kind of powder. So it's finicky, and it's a special way you got to build it.
A lot of people don't know that. So you're not really preaching to the choir, because there are a lot of people who don't know.
Exactly. So I'll break it down. So if you get a 16-inch barrel, if you go with the carbine length, you're going to need a special recoil spring. There's a couple companies that make those. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. You can't use a carbine spring. It's just you're going to have cycling issues.
Okay.
Or if you're going to go the 16-inch route and you want to use a carbine spring, you need to go with a pistol length gas system.
Gotcha.
So when they designed the 300 Blackout, it was actually meant for the pistol, the 10.5-inch barrel, 7.5. They work better with those.
Okay.
So the company, AAC, that designed it knew what they were doing, but a lot of companies jumped in and said, we're going to get in on the going. It's the hottest thing on the block. Now, so I did my research, and trust me, I failed many times in my basement. I spent plenty of times at the range and going back to the lab.
Yeah.
My wife's like, how did it go? I'm like, no, not good, not good. So I figured it out. I'm like, okay, that's what I got to do. So they're good hog guns. I like it. I mean, in the state I live in, we can have suppressors because we're manufacturers, but you can't get a tax stamp.
Yeah.
We're a little bit better than Cali. We're not that fully confident yet, but we got concealed carry, but so we don't get the full advantage you would where you're at with the 300 blackout is what I'm trying to get at.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That makes a lot of sense. So what is it like when you build a gun? Like you're coming up with you're designing a new gun, new platform, and you have to go out and test it. Like, is that something that's nerve wracking, or is it,
my mind's always working. I'm always ahead of the game. I'm always, I do my research. I go online, seeing what's out, on the threads, what people are talking about. So when I sit down and say, okay, I have a wild imagination. I can just picture the rifle, and I'll come back to my staff. I say, I got it. They'll be like, what? I'm like, I'll explain later, or I'll try to explain what I'm trying to design. They'll be like, what are you doing? I said, I'll just come back to you guys when I finish it. So, I always take the consumer's consideration. People always want something light.
Yeah.
First thing I tell you, we want it accurate, we want it light. You make it light, they want it lighter. So the industry continues to keep shaving off aluminum off of these rails.
Yeah.
So eventually, you might as well just get rid of the handguard and just, so. But it does get nerve-wracking. Sometimes I do design something and it don't turn out the way I want it to, or don't shoot right. You just go back to the drawing board.
It's about that. So because I think a lot of people think that, somebody just comes up with a rifle, throw it in the design, and they come out with it. How much trial and error is involved, typically speaking, with each design of rifle that you come out with?
Oh, plenty. No. I probably would have to design 5 to get one right. When I'm saying 5, I mean, it'd probably take the average consumer longer, but you got to look at, okay, am I going to be able to find parts to be able to mass produce this? That's the first thing you got to look at, from a production point of view. You can't just say, well, I'm going to make it. And especially with the way the industry is, they're still playing catch up. But every rifle I've designed does not necessarily make it to, well, I'll put it like this. When we first started, see, you've been on our website. Yeah. We skimmed down. We eliminated probably 10 rifles, 10 or plus. They weren't hot sellers.
Okay.
So we said it's just easier, and as far as from an inventory point of view, it's just easier to be able to control inventory and not have a wide variety, and you're not selling these. You're just losing money. So I design them. Sometimes they're not hot, and the consumers have a way of telling us.
Yeah, I can imagine. How do you guys manage? How do you handle coming up with the price points for the particular rifles? Is it just based on, okay, here's the cost, and then what?
Well, you have your bottom line you got to hit, but at the end of the day, the biggest dictators are your dealers. And we have a few distributors, but we're dealer heavy. And our dealers, and our dealers actually have good margins, whether they sell it at MAP or MSRP. So we always have them in mind. And obviously, the people that benefit being the consumers.
Yeah.
So, they got to sell it to the consumers. So we keep dealers in mind, and more importantly, at the end of the day, how much is going to be left for us in the pot if we're not making money?
Yeah. No one goes into business to lose money.
Yeah.
That's just kind of backwards.
But we don't go into designing a rifle saying we're going to make the most, or we don't put price as a factor first. First thing I do is, can I make this thing work? And once I get it to work, okay, how can I save the dealer and, the end user being the guy that's going to save money?
Okay. And so on the actual, the handguards, you guys, maybe if I'm wrong, I noticed sometimes you get, some of the rifles using M-lock. Am I correct?
Oh man! So now you got M-lock key mod.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump into that cesspool.
Man. It's like Glock at 1911. So if you ask me my preference, I really, you give me the old quad rail. For me, it's but people thought key mod was gonna go away when M-lock came out.
Yeah, but it hasn't. It's still most of my rifles are key mod.
Same here. Yeah. It's all by region. So we started doing M-lock, and all of a sudden people are like, well, you guys getting rid of the key mods? We're like, well, that you guys were complaining about. Oh, we just want you guys to stay in tune with the industry like we are. But so I don't think key mod's going away.
I don't really see much of a, I like M-lock, it's cool. And I like key mod, it's cool. It's kind of like dating two beautiful twins. It's kind of like, and one has one slightly bigger eye than the other. It's like,
and to be honest with you, dude, yeah. Outside of the look, you put the key mod rail M-lock, Picatinny.
Yeah.
Once you lock it, you lock it. I've
Yeah,
never had mod fail unless you buy a cheap part that's made over the pond or somewhere.
Yeah.
So
now
I don't discriminate.
I think the M-LOK has maybe a slightly more complicated learning curve.
Oh, tell me about it, because I know people.
Yeah, because if you don't get the thing right, it doesn't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
you have it's true. It's not user friendly. Key mod, you loosen it up
and just slide it in,
push it up,
yeah.
tight. So I will give you that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I like key mod more.
Yeah, I mean, I like it, and call me old fashioned. Maybe I like it because I'm used to it now. Because when I came into the game, just the old generic big quad rails were going out the window. And I was the guy. I was like, man, and I liked it. I like the big quad rails all the way extended to the end where the muzzle brake was. I mean, sure, it weighed 100,000 pounds, but to me, it looked good.
It looked cool.
Yeah. And then the key mod stuff came out, and then all the barrels look really skinny now. Everything was all light and trim. It's kind of like fashion almost. It was kind of weird. But we're going to take another break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about pretty much your background and your service history.